Dear learners, you are welcome to learn about fundamental rights of Indian Constitution. I have prepared a concept map to explain about fundamental rights. Dear learners, fundamental rights, as you all know, are enshrined in Part 3 of the Indian Constitution from Article 12 to 35. Actually, these fundamental rights are derived from USA Bills of Rights. This Part 3 of the Constitution is actually called as Magna Carta of India. Why? Because this Part 3 contains a very long and comprehensive list of justiciable fundamental rights. In fact, the fundamental rights in our Constitution are more elaborate than any other constitution in our country, including USA. As we all know, originally we had 7 fundamental rights in the Indian Constitution, which are right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, right to property, right to constitutional remedies. Later on, the right to property rights was deleted from the list of fundamental rights by the 44th Amendment Act in 1978, which is added under Article 300A. Now we have 6 fundamental rights in the Indian Constitution, Part 3. The fundamental rights are very essential to promote political democracy, which prevents authoritarianism in the country. The fundamental rights are guaranteed and protected by the Constitution, which develops all-round development of every individual in all aspects, including material, intellectual, moral, and spiritual development. The fundamental rights are limited. The operation of fundamental rights are limited due to Article 31A, 31B, 32, 31C, which we will see in the next module in detail. Now let us discuss about the characteristics of fundamental rights. First characteristic of the fundamental rights is some rights are available for the citizen, while some rights are available for all people, including citizens, foreigners, or legal persons. That is, the Article 15, rights against discrimination, Article 16, rights for equal opportunity in public employment, Article 19 and Article 29, Article 30. That is, Article 19 is rights for personal liberty and 29 and 30 is cultural and educational rights. These rights are always available for all citizens. Remaining rights are available for all people living in India. Second characteristic is fundamental rights are not absolute. but they are qualified, which means the state can impose reasonable restriction on fundamental rights anytime, which are restricted reasonably by the court. Hence, the fundamental rights strike a balance between rights of the individual and those of the society as a whole. Next characteristic of the fundamental rights is justiciable. Fundamental rights are always justiciable, which means any person whose fundamental rights are violated can directly approach Supreme Court. Next one is fundamental rights are not permanent. Why? Because the Parliament can repeal fundamental rights anytime, but only by a constitutional amendment act, not by ordinary act. Whenever the fundamental rights are amended, it is subject to not disturbing the basic structure of the Constitution. For example, the amendment is not supposed to disturb the harmony of the Constitution. That is, fundamental rights strike a balance between DPSP that should not be disturbed while amending the fundamental rights. Then, fundamental rights are suspended. It can be suspended during emergency time. For example, national emergency. Even the national emergency is announced by the government, the Article 20 and 21 will be available for all people who are living in the India. That is, Article 20 is personal liberty and 21 is right to life, which will not be disturbed. And next characteristic is the application to the members of the armed forces and martial areas are restricted by the Parliament due to Article 33. That means fundamental rights are restricted sometimes to the people. And next one is most of the fundamental rights are directly enforceable, but few of the fundamental rights can be enforced on the basis of law made for giving effect due to Article 35. In this way, fundamental rights have special features compared to other countries' fundamental rights. Dear students, I hope you all have understood the features of fundamental rights. Now, you are asked to give the answer for these questions in the comment box. How many fundamental rights are there in the Indian Constitution? First question. Second one, the right to property has been eliminated from the list of fundamental rights by which Amendment Act? Third one, fundamental rights are defined in which part of the Indian Constitution? I hope you all could answer for these questions in the comment box. Thank you everyone.